Okay, we're back, and what we're going to do now is talk team development. We're going to talk about the players, what skills work out really well for them, and kind of what fits well with your team, but also what options there are for players, which I think is really important. Again, I'm going to plug a video. We've got Skaven team development on our channel. We've got team development video for every team out there, so we break down the players and the skill packages that you can take on them. We've also got dream teams, which I think is where we're going to end up at the end of this pod, talking about how your team comes together. So step 1, what do you take? Step 2, how do you grow it? Step 3, what does it all look like when it's put together at the end? So Ben, what player do you want to start with when it comes to skills and stuff?
Should we do just let's do the rat ogre, because we were talking about that. Let's start big. Let's go rat ogre.
It just so happens that the rat ogre is the first player in the video. Cool. All right. So talk through your rat ogre's development, Ben.
So I've essentially just gone straight for Juggernaut, and that's purely because the way I've been playing him, like I said, he's like my safety frenzy blitzer. So having Juggernaut just makes that so much more reliable. I don't want to blitz someone, roll both down, and especially when they have block.
Well, you got
I'd rather
frenzy,
just position.
Right? You've got frenzy as well. So Jugs just keeps you going and allows you to make another set of die rolls.
Use it twice. Yeah, use it twice every turn. So, every time you blitz. But yeah, like it's just really good, and it means that if they have block, he's now even more of a threat because he can use that Juggernaut against someone with block. And all I really want to do when I'm doing a frenzy safety blitz is just position them badly and be annoying, potentially surf them. Usually people don't tend to let you do that when you have a rat ogre, but it can happen.
You can catch them out. You can catch them out.
Yeah.
And always, if you've got a roger who's open and ready to blitz, always be looking for a cheeky assist. And when I say that, it's if your opponent's player is 2 squares from the edge, and you've got a block to push him into the red zone, right, where you can actually surf him with the roger. Genuinely consider it, because your opponent's going to be thinking, right, I need to keep 2 squares away because that there's a dude in the background. He's 3 squares, he's fine, but he's based by another Skaven. Move a guy in there to assist. You're going to be able to get the gutter runner to where you need him to, push and then blitz with 6 dice, looking for pows and pushes, and you will rinse. And that is removal for the rest of the drive. Doesn't matter if he dies, doesn't matter if he doesn't die or goes into reserve. You've just gained TVOP. You've just gained TV on the pitch with that removal. You've had to use an activation or 2, sure, but actually there are many times where I would gladly give up 2, 3 player activations to remove an entire player from the pitch.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely.
So Jugs, if you're going to be using your roger as your primary blitzer, I think is an absolutely excellent skill. And when you're looking at big guys, Jugs is a great skill if you are going to be pointing and clicking with this guy. And this is the interesting thing about the rat ogre, though. There is an argument for brawler instead, but it really depends on how you play him. So Ben's playing his rat ogre as if it was a minotaur.
Essentially, yeah.
Which you may know, I like minotaurs. I think they're a great positional. But the cool thing about the roger is it is consistent because it's got animal savagery. It's got prehensile tail. It's got frenzy. So actually, it doesn't mind being stuck in a pool of combat. Ben's already pointed out, though, the vulnerability of armor 9+, strength 5 is great, but when he gets mobbed up, it can go badly for him. But,
and when he gets fouled as well, that's never good.
Yeah. But using Brawler on him to be... I guess for me, is if you're going to be blitzing with your blitzers or your gutter runners, then your roger should be developed as this kind of, I'm in the mix, mosh pit build, right? You've got a cruise missile build with Jugs, or you've got the mosh pit with the Brawlers thing. Brawler will be, and I tell you what, from absolutely binging Black Orc games, Brawler, I know people don't like it, and it's not as good as Block, but it has saved me, and it has hurt people a lot, especially when you're making 2 or 3 die blocks, because you're like, push, skull, both down. Let's re-roll the both down. Hey, it's a POW. 1/3 of those times, it's just going to drop your opponent. And when you've got a roger here with Mighty Blow as well, it's awesome. Because having Brawler is going to turn that 6 die frenzy block into, what? how many both downs in 3 dice? That's a 0.5 dice, so 0.5, and then you re-roll that into powers is 0.3, so
You get another die out of it, don't you?
yeah, it becomes like a 7-8 die block, which is magic. And if you put pro in there, you could probably boost that up even more. I wonder what the maximum die block you can get is. There's a theory Thursday in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Ben, what's the technically correct thing to do when it comes to developing your rat ogre?
I mean, yeah, it's on the screen. Saving up for a double and getting block is always good. I'm glad it's on there because tentacles is really cool on them. Tentacles prehensile tail just makes him a real pain, and it's probably the thing I'm going to get next. Because where I was saying, I juggernaut him into players and just like stay there and just be annoying. Because when you can just push this all I want. Having prehensile tail and tentacles just makes him just like throw him in somewhere and just like, okay, deal with that.
PHT is so good. Now, so regardless of whether you are using him as a blitzer or a brawler, that's what I'm just going to call him, right? Block is the right skill. Now, when it comes to tabletop, with a big guy, Ben, you're probably getting a casualty every other game, right? Maybe 2 in 3 games you'll get casualties for the big guy. So over the course of a league of 10, 12 games, you're probably going to get 5, 6 casualties with the rogue. Okay, so by the end of your first season, the rogue could take block. The problem is when it comes to tabletop is that's 1 or 2 games a month. So that's like 6 months to 9 months for you to level up that rat ogre to get block. Sometimes you can spike, get 6 SPP in 3 games, you know, with a casualty, 2 casualties and an MVP or something. And then you're like, ooh, actually, do I level up and take that skill now? And when it comes to tabletop, I just want to put it out there. There is no shame in taking the lower SPP. When it comes to Blood Bowl 3, okay, when these games start spamming and when you're playing on Fumble, I think you're gonna come across savers. I think I talk about this regularly on some of the dream teams. Like, you can get 2-3 games in of an evening for Blood Bowl 3, and you can probably spend 2 evenings playing that. So it's not unrealistic for you to get 4 to 6 games in a week. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm on lunch break, I'm on evening, I'll play a couple of games of Blood Bowl, I'll play one now. So actually, you could cram in 12 games in a fortnight, and that's your rogue. Playing 12 games of tabletop is realistically going to be at least 3 months, and that's if you're able to kind of go every single week. And that's the really big difference here, is that when it comes to Blood Bowl 3, or if you're playing the long game, okay, in an embedded tournament, in an embedded league where you know you're going to bring it back, then it's fine to save. So Ian Warhammer's running an ogre team, and he's being incredibly disciplined. He's just saving up to 12 SPP to get his block ogres because he's planning for next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Now, there's a couple of other good skills for the rogue if you want to take the early skill route. Brawler or jugs, like we said, if you want to be brawler or blitzer, those are the best skills for you. Guard. How do you feel about guard and the rogue in the Skaven roster, Ben?
Okay, I wouldn't really rate guard in Skaven. I get that there is a bash game there, but when you've only got 2 blitzers and your linemen are just average with bad armor, often I'm not doing that many blocks. Like, the blocks I'm making in Skaven, I don't know, it's just the way I play them, but they're always just really functional blocks. Like, it's like, okay, right, I have to do a block there to make this dodge like only a 3+. That's kind of like how I see it, as I'm trying to just move players out of the way to clear up paths and channels, because you've got such rapid players. You just want like an opening. I'm always looking for the opening. Yeah. And if that means like my thrower can run and pick up a ball on like maybe just 1 tackle zone rather than 2, or even 0 tackle zones if that's a treat, and then lob that to his gutter runner. That's all I'm trying to do, really. So I don't really rate guard too highly because I'm not there just spamming. But it's an option, and it could open that different path of play if you wanted to go a bit more heavy on the bash.
Yeah, I think guard is a good skill if you're going to be using him as a brawler in the mix. Yes. Because then, now, when you're playing offense or defense, if you're playing defense, the rat ogre shouldn't be on the line, okay? Use him as a big linebacker like Ben uses him all the time. If offense, you do have a rogue with guard. Now remember, brawler, juggernaut, break tackle, guard are all strength skills, so you can get to 3 SPP and take a random strength skill. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can end up with guard, and it's not bad because at that point you've got the rogue in the middle, you've got 2 assists immediately there. So either you've then got 3 rat ogres on the line, okay? You've got your blitzers you can put next to him, and that's 2 die block with block, 2 die block with block, then probably 3 die frenzy block into 2 more dice. Actually, you can put together a real little pocket of murder. The problem with Skaven, like Ben says, is that those blitzers need to be kind of your surgical strike. You need them to be the ones punching a hole, if possible, and protecting the ball carrier when desperately needed. So guard is going to be great if you get it, okay? But you will have to support the rat ogre. And the problem with that is you're going to be putting dudes next to the rat ogre, so they're likely to get splatted by the rat ogre as well. What do you reckon to break tackle on the rogue, Ben?
I would probably take break tackle over guard, just for those times when you need to. Yeah, he's that cruise missile. Someone's based him. You don't want to hit that person. So just to let him do that one dodge, because it's going to be on 3+ with break tackle. Is that right? 2+. Is it 2+ for the rat ogre?
He's Edge 4+, this guy. So
is he? I thought it was 5+. Yeah.
No, so having that +2 bounce out means that this movement 6 good. Frenzy piece, right, is then 2+ into the open. It's a really good skill because, and it depends again on kind of on your meta. Like if you're in a meta where your other teams are going to want to keep close to the roger, okay, which is risky, but I'm looking at you undead players, right? They're just going to be like, zombie stands up, stands next to your roger. And then you're like, yay, I've got a free 6 die block, but it's going to do nothing, right? But okay, that's fine. Or I can just 2+ out and move him 6 squares to where I need him to murder. Break tackle is a really useful skill to have in there.
Yeah, okay. I might actually end up taking that over saving for tentacles then. Because
if you're using him as a mobile safety, then I think, if you've got jugs, you don't want brawler, saving up for block is going to take years. Actually, BT, break tackle, 8 SPP, it's going to mean that he can move around, and it's a really good one to use if you're building a blitzing ogre as well. And I think blitzing minotaur, they're all edge 4+ big guys, so it's just kind of, it keeps them so mobile. Now, it goes well with, if you've got an ogre with guard, break tackle is a really useful second skill because it means you can move that guard piece to where you need him to be in like a human roster. When it comes to your roger, it's kind of brawler and guard, you create a little mosh pit. Juggernaut and break tackle, you create this big guy who can just hunt people down in the backfield. So having that rat ogre be is really flexible. Now there's some other great skills. Obviously block is the correct skill to take most of the time. Claw is okay. Have you had much experience with Claw Mighty Blow in the new edition, Ben?
I haven't actually in the new edition, but it's not quite as good.
It is terrifying, but it is fine. Like they don't stack like they used to, but it is very much a case of like, this is gonna hurt. And it's going to hurt you, but it's not the best thing. It's not an auto pick anymore, which I think is
Remind
another.
me of what changed with that?
So it used to stack. So it used to be Claw breaks armor on an 8+, and you could use Mighty Blow. So it would be essentially breaking armor on a 7+, which is 56%. Now it's Claw always breaks armor on an 8+. Or
okay. So yeah.
Okay. Or you can use Mighty Blow instead. So
yes, gotcha.
Mighty Blow and Claw, it's just not really very useful.
So it doesn't turn that armor into 8+, just means you break it on 8+.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't stack.
Cool.
Horns is an interesting one for the rat ogre if you want to pretend it is a minotaur, but because it is Skaven, that's a double skill. That's a long way to save.
Yeah, that is a long way. I don't think you really need it.
No.
Usually strength 5 is enough. Yeah. And you can always put an assist there if,
And
for some reason they've got they're carrying the ball with a strength 5 guy then. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to kaiju combat, having horns on your big guy can be really, really, really useful. And that's something that Skaven do struggle with a bit. Tentacles, you've already called out, it's a pretty good one, but again, it's a long save. Ben, before we move on to the next player type, quick randoms, what do you reckon to them?
Random strength, I think you're always going to be happy. I wouldn't take random mutation, wouldn't take random general, wouldn't take random agility. So
there's a lot of good options for the Roger. That I'm a bit more precious, I think, with the Rat Ogre on Skaven. I think I'm a bit more precious with the Skaven team, except for the Lineman.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like you give a lot of equity up.
You've seen what's happened with my team.
Yes, which is awesome. And we should probably bring up your team at the end and talk it through.
Sure.
And saving up for stats, just don't even worry about it with the Roger. Like, you're going to end up with a movement 7 Roger, but by that point you've got 18 SPP, which is both Brawler and Guard, or Juggernaut and Break Tackle, or Block, and just almost your next skill. So yeah, wouldn't even bother. Okay, Ben, pick a player.
Let's work down. Let's go Blitzers next. I'm going to say that next.
Blitzer is next. Okay. Right, what's your path for the Blitzer?
For me, they are like you said, they're your pieces for clearing out a hole. So I actually regret my first pick of this skill now, thinking about it, because I took it at the time. I took Mighty Blow as my first skill to remove pieces more. I think I would have preferred taking Tackle, because like you say, they're a surgical instrument to remove a key player that's being really annoying. Often that player, especially later in the league, has dodge.
Okay.
And and looking at like the teams that are sort of threatening me, there's the Underworld team where they've got like a blodging gutter runner, and I'm just like, oh, I wish my Blitzer had Tackle so I could threaten that. Yeah, so that's kind of why I regret that. So for me, Tackle seems to be like the skill I'd take first on these guys.
So when it comes to the Bonehead Championship team, Tackle and Mighty Blow were the skills for the Blitzers. And actually, they're probably. It depends. So the thing is, if you're running the Roger, you've got removal already with the Roger. If you don't have the Roger, then actually you are looking for that ability to strike and take out a target. Now, you will need one tackle piece. Whether you put it on a lineman via a random general, that's actually a really good way to sneak in a tackle. And you can afford to take Mighty Blow then on one of your Blitzers to be a removal piece. So it depends on the mix of your team. If you've got Mighty Blow with the Roger, you don't need it on your Blitzer, in which case then a support piece is the first thing you're going to want, which, like Ben said, is going to be Tackle. And Guard is also excellent on the Blitzers. They are the only player on the roster that can take them without saving up a ton of SPP, and at movement 7 Edge 3+, they will be able to get that Guard to wherever you need it. They're going to be able to help if you've got the Roger. You're going to help you stay safe with the Frenzy or get the 2-die up on a big guy. They're going to be able to work really well with a Wrestle Gutter Runner to make sure that you're actually rolling a 1-die Wrestle Blitz. Okay, that's excellent. That ball's coming out, and then you've got another Gutter Runner to pick it up. So Guard is a really useful skill. Now, over 4 seasons of me playing Skaven, every single Guard Blitzer I have ever had has died. It's just a thing, right? It's just a thing. I always have one good Blitzer and another guy who gets Guard, then dies. And then the next one comes along, he gets Guard, then he dies. So, and that is because even though they are brilliant Blitzers, because they're just human Blitzers with better skill access, they're still Strength 3, they're still Armor 9+. So they are still vulnerable. So, but having Guard, it gives you so much flexibility. Mighty Blow will be a great piece of removal. If you've got removal already, you can skip that and go to a support piece. You can take Tackle on a Blitzer and they become a really good defender. Or you put Guard on them and it helps you support other pieces be strong. I like taking Tackle on them. I think it's great. The thing about the Blitzer is they will score every now and again. If you've got 2 gutters, the Blitzers are going to be next in line for scoring, I think.
Yeah, I think personally I value taking if I didn't want to score with the gutters, I try and score with the thrower. Just because the Blitzers tend to get the skill point, the SVP from the bashing.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you are right. Like they're usually up in the forefield, where the throwers are further back, and also, let's be honest, gutters get it 95% of the time.
yeah. A lineman or a Blitzer only score if they just happen to end up with the ball, which is fine. So yeah, I think Ben's pinged it. Mighty Blow, you probably don't need it as much as you need a support skill if you've got the Roger. If you don't have the Roger, then the order kind of drops one. I think your Blitzers become removal and your linemen become your supports, and it's a really interesting mix. Mighty Blow is always going to be really useful. Guard is always going to be really useful. Tackle is one of the most important skills in the game. I like Tackle on the Linemen in the Skaven roster because they are still movement 7. So actually, you've still got a really good option. And I'd rather have a Tackle Lineman and a Guard Blitzer because that is a big hit than the other way around, because Guard you can only get on the Blitzers or the big guy, and it's a really I say only, but you can obviously save up, but no Lineman is ever going to save till 12 SPP. It's never going to make it.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, like, if you can get like a Tackle Wrestle guy, that can be a Lineman, and that can be your like full sacker, right?
Yeah,
but
that's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fair enough. Doubles and long saves for the Blitzer, Ben. What are your thoughts?
I think, yeah, I like the mutation point you've got here. I know it goes back into the like saving up for a lot of SPP for that, but yeah, if you're trying to take them out, I think Horns is really nice to get the strength 4 blitzers, especially if you're Rat Ogre isn't able to do that.
Yeah.
Dodge, always good. Lodging is just always great to have. Yeah, but I think I'd actually rather take them as an offensive piece than having dodge on them. I feel like I get more use out of just taking the stuff out that they need to take out. Yeah, so personally, I'd value something like Horns or like say Claws over that. Frenzy also enable that.
I like that. This is interesting. We're kind of splitting these roles into player types, aren't we? We've had the brawler and the blitzer big guy, and when you've got a blitzer, you've got an offensive blitzer or a defensive blitzer. So defensive, tackle, guard, right? He's a support piece. Offensive, mighty blow, frenzy, claws. It's awesome, and this depends on the archetype of your Skaven roster. If you've got the Roger to be your removal, then the Skaven Blitzer becomes a defensive Blitzer. If you don't, then the Skaven Blitzer becomes your offensive Blitzer, in which case a little smattering of Mighty Blow and Guard, pretty great. So, but the Blitzer is funny. It goes a little bit underappreciated in this roster because of how good the Gutters are, but they are excellent players.
They are more expensive than the Gutters. And I think
they live longer,
that's something which, I don't feel like they don't feel that way, but yeah, when they take a hit, you kind of realize why they are.
Yeah, when you're down to one blitzer, you're kind of like, If this is it, I would love them to bring in an alternate Skaven roster with 4 blitzers instead. Oh,
that would be good if they had the clans, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd love that.
What's the Storm Vermin clan? Is
More.
It
More.
Oh,
Moors. Everything else on doubles.
How do you spell that?
MOR, I think.
Oh yeah, no, it is that, isn't it?
Clan Moor. It's a newer.
Yeah, Clan Moors.
It's a newer one, I think. It's a good one. Next up, we've got one of the best throwers in the game, the Skaven Thrower. Now, Ben and I have already kind of talked through. You've got some combat potential there with the Roger and the Blitzers. The Gutter Runners, which we'll come to in a second, are just absolute scoring nightmares. Ben, what's the role of the Skaven Thrower?
He's the quarterback, isn't he? And that's me using a football term, which probably the first time in my life. This guy is just the playmaker. You only need him to do your pass, and then you're basically scoring a touchdown. I feel I tend not to like carry the ball on anyone other than him, because gutters are just a huge target painted on them as soon as they have the ball.
You telling me you don't use the three gutter side cage? Oh god!
God no! I like keeping the gutters separate as like multiple threats. So that means that the thrower carrying the ball, protected by the 2 blitzers.
I like it.
He just moves up to in range, and then he's got like 2 or 3 opportunities where he can throw the ball to someone very reliably. They catch it and score. So that tends to be how I play them. And I rolled a bunch of random skills in this, which I'll get to in a minute. But you really have a lot of opportunities to kind of build this guy. And having access to 2 of them does allow you to kind of like maybe have a close range and long range thrower, or one who's more focused on just keeping the ball safe and stuff like that.
So Ben's hit the nail on the head. This guy is a fantastic thrower of the ball. Okay, this is the archetype when it comes to the thrower positional. Never used to be like this, right? The thrower was really a pseudonym for a runner.
The guy who picks up the ball.
Yeah,
And then,
This guy is not really the ball carrier. He is a ball distributor. That's what this guy will do. Now, it depends on your play style. Obviously, passing is risky, although when it's 2++ or 3++, it's really not as risky as you'd think, but you are rolling a dice. Okay, at that point, it's bad. The great thing about the thrower is his movement's 7, so actually he covers 14 squares in 2 turns. So that is the majority of the pitch, really. So you've got an option of actually having him as a runner. Block is okay to put on him, but it will make him feel pretty slow. It's not really what he's there to do. That comes, I think, by waiting till you've got 6 SPP and taking accurate pen.
Right. The odds are pretty likely to get a good passing skill. So I was just like, I can't really decide if I want to go accurate or if I want to go like cannoneer and drive like the long passing game.
Okay, talk through the good throwing skills.
Yeah, so accurate, cannoneer, both fantastic. On the ball, really good. Accurate cannoneer does kind of dictate, and especially in this edition, dictate kind of what path you want to build them down, because now they've got a lot of support for like cannoneer. You can get cannoneer, and then you can get cloudburster. Stuff like that. So yeah, it's you can make long passes kind of okay now. Like with cannoneer, it's a 3+ long pass with a reroll, and then cloudburster makes it like uninterruptible basically. So yeah, he's good at that.
Then you got nerves.
So I was just like, oh, nerves are still, yeah. I don't think I'd rush to take nerves. That's why I rolled random, because I thought it's a nice to have, but I don't think I'd pay 6 SPP for it when I could just take accurate and make the passing the thing that I want to do always.
So accurate's good, cannoneer is good, on the ball is good, nerves is useful, leader is not ideal but useful. How did it go for you?
Yeah, so I rolled random and I got Fumblerooski, which I was just like, okay, I was looking at the passing skill and I was like, I'd take any of these for 3 SPP, any of these, except Fumblerooski. And then I rolled that, naturally, which is what you should always do when picking a random skill, is think of the worst case scenario. And yeah, I still haven't used it because it's a terrible skill. For those who don't know, because I didn't know, it means that while running, you can choose to place the ball on a square that your player moved into along the journey, and it's not a turnover, and you carry on running. So you can kind of like go and assist somewhere and leave the ball for someone else to pick up, but no one else really wants to pick it up but your thrower. It's very strange. I'm sure there are some awesome plays you can make with it, but it's not worth it. And then I thought, okay, right, I've got the bad one out of the way. I'll roll for another passing. I'm bound to get like accurate cannoneer or something like that. And I get on the ball, which is again like
on the ball's good.
Right. I was disheartened to see it because I'm just like, I just want to play. I want a path to be made here. I want to roll a random and be like, right, that's what he's doing now. But on the ball just makes him better, which I mean, I'd take it because it's been fantastic. And it makes him great for when receiving, just run into the square and then you can basically move
OTB makes him movement 10 on the kickoffs.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, so on the ball has actually been really good. Then I rolled another random and I get Cloudburster, which is useless without Cannoneer in my opinion. So I think at this point, I'm just going to have to save and get Cannoneer. Because
you're going Cannoneer, you're going the long ball route.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. The guy has a cannon. Like my model has a cannon. So he needs Cannoneer and I should have just saved up for it and got it from the get-go and just made my cannon thrower Cannoneer.
Okay, but, so that's 10 squares with 3+ and a reroll.
Yeah. Kind of gross. Because
that gives
you a 19 square threat range.
Yeah, that is pretty outrageous. Yeah, and this is the great thing about this edition is you can roll a random, and sometimes it's going to be awesome, and sometimes it's going to make that choice for you, which is what we will absolutely talk about when it comes to the lineman, because that is a true story of Blood Bowl 2020 in every team roster, is that actually a random on a lineman chooses that lineman's new positional, and when it comes to the thrower, actually, Ben's right. If he rolled a cannoneer, it becomes your long bobber. If it becomes accurate, it becomes your short passer. If you get nerves, actually, you need to then give him a combat skill so he can make the most of it and get up close. Now, the great thing about the thrower is that he is already awesome. Accurate makes him filthy. 1+ quick pass, 2+ short pass. On the ball is a really good collector. I used to use, what was it in the old edition? Do you remember?
Pass, no pass block with the other one. It was
Kickoff return.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Kickoff return was one of my favorite skills in the old edition because it meant that you were almost guaranteed to start it's basically like a touchback. And it meant that you could use one thrower in the backfield instead of having 2 players to play ball protection. So actually that OTB means that you get that. Now, Nerves of Steel is a little bit underrated when it comes to needing to make the pass, because it actually can be the equivalent of Accurate and Cannoneer. Because actually, if you get to move 3 squares forward, and then tag yourself, you've gained 3 squares of passing range when you need to.
Yeah, that is true.
It does leave you vulnerable, for sure. So if you want to play
That's kind of why I doubted it, because I'd never like having my thrower anywhere near combat. I keep him back. I generally, my backfield is a rat ogre, someone for the rat ogre to beat up, and a thrower.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, right, these guys just stay back and out of danger. Don't look menacing. And as soon as people start to see the thrower, I get a little bit like, please don't.
There you go. Next time I play you, Ben, I'm going to murder the thrower.
Oh, don't. It's so scary. Every time that I'm going to blitz the thrower, I'm just like, oh, can you not?
I like it. Now, so quite frankly, whatever you do with the thrower is going to be fine. If you want to be consistent and you want to use him as a runner, give him block. Then his movement's 7. He's got a great passing ability. Sure hands block, becomes a brilliant runner, and you will not need to do that. Giving him accurate, and then you just get to play with whatever you want to develop him. If you just get 3 SPP and want to take a gamble, then actually you can choose your own destiny. Ben, would you ever really run 2 throwers?
Yeah, I would. Purely because I would be scared of losing one. I feel like, especially with the way I play the Skaven, if I lose the thrower, I'm not really sure what I'd do. I'd find it really challenging because I just hate running with the gutters, because as soon as they get hit, they generally don't do much unless they have the blodge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of like having the safety of the thrower. So yeah, my next player I'm going to buy is another thrower for sure, just to have him like the bench thrower.
Yeah. So doubles and long saves for this guy. 18 SPP to attempt +1 passing. Do you think that's going to be something that we see when it comes to BB3?
Possibly. And there's a lot of like mutation only Skaven players out there. That's kind of interesting. I feel like all the passing skills are generally more favorable than the secondaries on here. Potentially extra arms to help picking up.
I was going to say, I don't mind extra arms. I think accurate then extra arms, just outrageous. Like at that point, but this is the cool thing about the Skaven roster is, even though it is a lot of SPP, actually, if you played against someone who had a Skaven thrower with 2 heads, extra arms and block, they've built themselves like a weird little blitzer ball carrier like that. That's how flexible this player is, who can also just 2+ pass it wherever, whenever. But yeah, I think Ben hit the nail on the head. The ball distributor is exactly what this guy does, and taking those passing skills just means that his threat range is just massive, and it is just so much fun. Absolutely love the Skaven thrower. Okay, and then it goes to, I talked about the Skaven thrower for a long time in that video, didn't I? 11 minutes all the way through to 17. 4 minutes, there you go. Fair enough. Oh yeah, gutter runners. I feel like we've talked about them loads, Ben. So good skills for a gutter runner.
Yeah, I mean, anything really. Block always. I really struggle to take anything but block on them. I tried to roll for random agility.
Oh my god, why would you?
I thought I could maybe get a cheap like sidestep or something like that.
Okay, that's fair.
I got sneaky get, so that learnt me. Still, no, I did use sneaky get actually in one game. I thought I'd give it a go. It was,
Give the old blitz foul a go.
yeah, it was hard. It didn't get sent off. I'm just like, I didn't like that. That didn't feel good. So yeah, that's not getting used. But yeah, I think it's never worth rolling randoms on these. You've got so many good tools to pick on them that you really want. My first gutter, I've gone block, and then I saved up for 2 heads. And the good thing with the gutters is they're scoring touchdowns left, right, and center. And it's not hard to get to secondary skills and things like that on them. Actually, no, I didn't even pick that. I saved up for a stat up. He had enough SVP to get a stat up on game 2. Because he had 9 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've done something silly there. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the camera's going crazy. Yeah, so he actually had enough for a stat up. I rolled kind of poorly on it and had to choose between movement or armor. And I thought, you can't get more movement on them because it caps it. So I don't really care about armor, so I'm going to get 2 heads. That's the route I went down from that.
This is the really interesting thing about gutters is they probably, with the exception of maybe the war dancer, they are going to be the player that gets access to the most SPP. Just forever.
Absolutely.
And I really love the fact that they can't get extra movement now, because it would be too much. It would be far too much. Now, I don't disagree with you when it comes to block being a skill, but if you're running more than 2 gutter runners, then your first one definitely gets block. Then your second one, you have the choice to start becoming a fast safety, in which case wrestle is an excellent skill. If you've got just 2 gutters, then making them and keeping them your scoring threats is absolutely the right thing to do. Okay, so when it comes to gutters, you've got scorers and then you've got reserve safeties, and wrestle is a really great skill on a gutter runner. One, it's going to keep him alive. Like, it's going to keep him alive as much as block.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to suck when you're the ball carrier and you get wrestled, but also it's going to be really useful for you taking out the ball carrier, and it's really underrated. You've got movement 9, you've got edge 2+, you're dodging into 1 tackle zone on a 3++, and then you've got a 50% chance with 1 die to drag down a player with block. Actually, you've got a huge, it's just a sneaky, if you can get a good block with a gutter with wrestle, it's awesome. So yeah, block is definitely a great way to go. You mentioned sidestep. So sidestep, sprint, and sure feet. If you're going to build a 1-turn touchdown player, those are the skills you need.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with having 4 gutters going block, wrestle, sprint, or sidestep. I would rather have sprint than sidestep, but actually sure feet is probably the better way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably should be sure feet, sprint, then sidestep, or whatever, because it gives you that almost guaranteed movement at 11 at that point, movement 12 at that point for that guy. And when you get 4 gutters, you can have 2 be all-purpose block gutters, 1 as a wrestle safety and 1 as a 1-turn touchdown speedster, and it just gets horrific. But Ben, you've already talked about some really great doubles. I mean, what's not good?
Yeah, 2 heads just makes them obscene. Like when I was going for a stat up, I was looking for strength or agility, really. So strength 3 makes them fantastic. Agility 1+ is really, really good too. So yeah, having 2 heads is essentially agility 1+. Yeah. It's a shame you can't get it on the catch, but yeah, it's still good.
Yeah, you can get extra arms for that.
You can, yeah, or monstrous mouth. I think that does it as well.
That's catch. That's the catch reroll with sure hands protection against strip ball.
Oh, okay. That is the catch reroll. Okay.
It's just better catch, basically.
Yeah.
Now, there's some interesting stuff you can do with a gutter runner, and when you've got 4, you can kind of flex and try some different things. And horns is really good. So if you get wrestle and then horns, it is a fantastic way to get a really good punch to drag down the ball. Nerves, I don't recommend. It's a long way to save, and actually you're probably just getting +1 to catch. You'd be better off taking extra arms that helps you on the pickup. Guard is an interesting one. Again, not optimal, but being able to have that movement 9 edge 2+ guard piece is going to really help you with doing anything that you want to do. So it's not it's not bad, but starting with block ×2, then wrestle, then a fast one, I think is the best way to spread out those skills. But like you said, Ben, the SPP are going to really, really, really come really, really quickly.
Yeah, I think my guy's on 32, my main gutter runner, in 4 games, 32 SPP. So he's doing well.
And we'll wrap up the roster talk here before we have a look at Ben's roster and a quick Dream Team segment. But the Skaven Lineman, I love Lineman, and I'm all about, in 2020, a couple of quick random skills. If a lineman scores a touchdown, I'm going to give it a quick random general. Block I'm looking for. Frenzy. Block, wrestle, kick, sure hands, tackle are all skills I am looking for. That's almost a 50% chance. We could probably find a 6th skill that's good. Pro. Maybe.
I don't think I care too much for pro.
Yeah. Well,
you are right. Kick is like number 1 for me. But
kick is awesome. Block is great. Yeah. Wrestle's great. You've got a ton. So actually, the first couple of Skaven linemen, I don't know, Ben, have you even had any that have got no? Okay.
No. I have one with 4 SPP who happened to get 2 casualties. He's probably going to be the first one, but they keep dying or getting taken out. So, yeah.
So when it came to the Bonehead Championship, we had we had some bloody games which led to linemen kind of stepping up and getting a load of touchdowns, and we just spent the SPP on randoms. We had a block guy who became a 3rd blitzer. We had a tentacle guys who didn't really do a lot. We had a wrestle guy who became really solid on the line, and we had a tackle guy who became an extra safety. So one skill, one touchdown can turn a lineman basically into a reserve positional. Block, you get a blitzer. Wrestle, you get a safety. Kick is monstrous for your gameplay. Sure hands, you get a reserve ball carrier. Okay, it's not ideal because you've got the thrower, but if your thrower's out and you've got a sure hands piece, you're fine for 10k. And quite frankly, Frenzy's not bad either. Like, I know it's not the first pick, but if you get a Frenzy lineman early, you may be more inclined to take guard over Mighty Blow or guard over tackle on your blitzers to be able to actually start ploughing extra dice in. And tackle means that if you get tackle early on a Skaven lineman, you don't have to use it on a blitzer. You can then turn that blitzer into something else. Dauntless is interesting. It's not particularly ideal, but Dirty Player is a skill that's going to be really useful as well. It's foot Mighty Blow. Like, it's wicked.
Yeah, you have a lot of flexibility with them. They just something you just got to remember. They do not hang around. Skaven linemen are the epitome of expendable.
It's quite funny.
Like, it's probably like a Snarling. But
you talk about getting antsy when your thrower gets in kind of danger. I have one positional that I am even more precious about, which is a kicker. If I get a kick lineman, that is the most precious thing in the world to me. And every time they get hit, I'm like, oh no, I just got kicked. Like, come on, that's Pat McAfee. You're about to Muller. Which is funny because I think a rat ogre did smack one of my kickers at some point, and I
thought you were going to say did smack Pat McAfee.
He's a wrestler now as well. Love Pat McAfee. So yeah, when it comes to linemen, I think first skill is a random. I think once you've kind of had a gamble a couple of times with linemen and you haven't got something that you wanted, i.e. kick, then actually the 3rd lineman, you save up for kick.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely the way to go. I probably wouldn't even take that gamble now, but I think that's just because of the way I've got my team.
Yeah.
I think I've taken too many gambles, and I think I really, really, really want kick. Every game I'm playing, I'm just like, oh, I wish I had kick, because I just want to go deep and then swarm them with gutter runners. So yeah, I think I just value kick so highly. I think I'm after now more control than I am smashing.
So I'm going to bring it back to a point you made earlier, which is movement versus armor, and how movement is almost every turn, whereas armor's every now and again. Block is used every turn, whereas kick is used twice, 3 times a game.
Yeah, but that one turn is so crucial.
Yeah, I know. It can win you the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, when it comes to having a block or wrestle lineman, you can put them on the line, and it basically it becomes your 12th player. Having a block or wrestle lineman on the line is equal to having a player in reserve when it comes to running Skaven, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And that becomes really, really, really massive. Now,
it's funny you say that, because every time you set up 3 linemen on the line, you just look into your players thinking just like, okay, you're definitely all going to die. So
yeah,
you have less SPP, you can go there.
Now, I think actually there is something to talk about here. And again, this is another moment where you want to consider your meta, your environment. If you are in a block-heavy environment, then Skaven lineman, taking wrestle is just the best thing you can do. If you've got a dwarf-heavy environment, there is nothing better than setting up a wrestle lineman on the line and just be like, that's fine, I'll drag you down. I'm movement 7, you're movement 4. I'm benefiting here. Like, this is no worries. So wrestle linemen for Skaven are fantastic. They're great on the line, and they're great at movement 7, because when you need to sack the ball carrier, that wrestle with strength 3, not as easy to get to as it is with the gutter, but if you can set up a block with a wrestle Skaven lineman, you're in a really good place. So I do recommend it. But yeah, I think when it comes to playing Blood Bowl 3, if you want to save up SPP, is the right way to do it. And actually, block guard or wrestle guard Skaven linemen are probably going to be a bit more prevalent. Kick, like Ben said, is just the best skill, like when it comes to Skaven linemen. But there is just something to be said about, hey, cool, this guy scored a touchdown. Let's roll a general, see what he becomes. Block, cool, I've got 3 blitzers, Boom, he becomes my kicker. Sure hands, cool, this guy's going to be like the reserve thrower. It's a really fun bit of story building in your team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I love that. I'll tell you what, Ben, is there anything else you want to add on any of the individual players before we go and have a look at your team?
Pretty comprehensive.
Okay, what do we do with
it's how not to build Skaven.
Okay, we've got the Bitter Sea Build Rats here. Let's zoom in ever so slightly. So you've got Jankwall the Broadside.
Yes.
This is your Roger. Did you say you already had a Roger and he died?
Yeah, he's second Roger, and he's really stepped up to the plate. Like he's doing very well since he got hired. So yeah, a lot better than the first one who died game 1. So yeah, this guy already got 3 casualties, so Juggernaut straight away.
Fantastic. Straight to pick. We've got 2 blitzers. One's been armor busted.
Yes, so he is now strictly a worse lineman with a block.
He's a better... Oh, yeah, he is.
And they got worse passing.
Yeah, and cost, yeah. So your other guy, you gave Mighty Blow to on a chosen primary. And that's
correct.
That's the one you're not feeling too swell about.
Yeah, that was the one where it's kind of like I took it at the club, and on the drive home I was thinking, actually I really kind of wish I took tackle. I was umming and ahhing at the time, and I think I got talked into taking Mighty Blow. Yeah, so. But again, like it might pay off, because it might mean he levels up again and can get tackled. So
yeah. No, I like that. Right, then we've got Quick Plank Border, who is is he the biggest boy?
Yeah, he's my star player, really. He's the 32 SVP guy.
There we go.
8 touchdowns, 2 MVPs, so he's been taking all the SPP. Yeah, so dodge, block, 2 heads.
Oh, he's movement busted, Ben.
He did get movement busted at the end of the last game, which sucked. It happens. That's why I have others. That's why when that happened, I was just like, right, I need to build another quick plank border. So I've got Flick Frigging Climber further down, who's my second Blodge.
This guy with 2 heads being Edge 1+ is going to save you that speed anyway. So
yeah, exactly. If I can dodge 2 tackle zones, it's not too bad.
Then you got Cannon Dodger, who's been pass wounded and now has Sneaky Git.
Yeah, I tried taking the random agility, got Sneaky Git. Wasn't the most pleased, but he's got a couple of touchdowns on his belt as well, so I think I can probably build him up to be something. Probably go for that wrestle player that you said before.
Then you got Flick Riggin Climber, who is
fresh recruit. Yeah,
with block.
Oh no, that one. Yeah, he's not my fresh recruit. The one below that, Nick Fivefinger, he's my fresh recruit. So now it's the four gutters. Very exciting.
And then we got Swivel Gunblaster, who is your thrower. With pass, sure hands, Fumblerooski on the ball, and Cloudburster.
It's quite the menagerie of skills. Yeah, I mean, on the wall's been great. Cloudburst, who just got the last game, which is determined. I definitely need Cannoneer on this guy. So how much more SPP? Forget that. I need
6
more SPP. 6 more SPP.
That's all right.
So I'll try and get a couple of touchdowns with him.
A couple of touchdowns or just a TD and MVP and you're there.
Yeah.
And that's it for the team. You got 2 rerolls still.
Yes. Still only on 2. I think I'm going to save up for an apothecary before another reroll.
Yep. Yeah.
Just judging by how fast my guys are getting taken out.
The apothecary is so important when it comes to the Skaven roster. Just outrageously important.
Yeah.
Because your guys die. Now, you've got enough time and money and you've got enough time to be able to replace them. And this is the good thing about Skaven, is that actually if a gutter dies, you can replace him, even if a really good gutter dies.
Welcome to Blood
Let's turn that off. You're still going to be able to like replace him well enough, because all the players start out really good.
Yeah.
So it's not like that they are replaceable, like Ben said. So when it came to the dream teams, it kind of put together. It'd be fun to kind of see what we've talked about and kind of how it sits. So end state for Skaven, we'll go straight to kind of the bigger one, the 1750 list. Rat Ogre, Juggernaut or Brawler with Break, Tackle or Guard, which I think basically is what we kind of discussed, right? Yep. 2 Blitzers, 1 Guard Mighty Blow, 1 Tackle Mighty Blow. So we've got the Guard element of support, you've got Tackle there, and you've got Mighty Blow to try and help with the removal aspect. Thrower, OTB and Accurate, Ben.
Halfway there.
The order, I think, is whatever you want. I think Accurate's just too fun not to take. And in the Bonehead Championship, Accurate was, I think, we just couldn't help ourselves.
It is fun.
Yeah. When it comes to gutters, 4 gutters, 2 with block and 2 heads is what I kind of suggested. Gutter with Wrestle, Dauntless, Strip Ball to be your Ball Hawk. And which I think is a better way of saying it than Ball Sacker. And a Gutter Runner with Sprint, Sidestep, and again 2 heads for that extra dodge. So he's going to be vulnerable, but he is also going to be speed 12 and a 1+ edge. So you've got like the 1-turn touchdown there, and Lineman, 1 kick, 3 wrestle / block with 3 rerolls and an apothecary.
Yep.
Is there anything missing from that kind of team other than obviously the players that I missed next game?
I don't think so. I think that is a proper Skaven dream team there. Definitely something I've been looking at to try and build towards. So yeah, it's exciting.
I love Skaven, man.
Cool. They are really fun. It's fun to play a team that's good, but also with players you can afford to lose, and it's just makes it a really fun dynamic to play them.
You run hot with Skaven, like you push it. That's how they win. They're like the SR-71 Blackbird, right? It is designed with holes in, but when it is flying, it just comes together. But it is a risk, and that is how Skaven can fall apart. And have you had a game yet where the team's fallen apart?
Yeah, I've had I think 2 of the 4 games in this league so far. I've been down to like 5 players, but the thing is, 2 of those players are a thrower and a gutter runner. That's all you need. Because you just do that, like I just be basically scoring, so they can't really catch up. It's always just like, another touchdown, right? I've got to reset up again, and it's just like, okay, quick, just get the ball down, like just try and swarm them, and it's good fun.
Amazing. My one last question for you before we wrap up the show, Ben, is bad matchups. What teams do you hate the idea of facing with Skaven?
I'm scared of anything with Frenzy and Tackle. I don't think I'd be too afraid of Dwarves as much, just because of their speed. But I am pretty scared of like Chaos Dwarves, just because like Bull Centaurs are pretty scary. Anything that I can kind of like catch up with and take out the gutters is something that's really frightening. So playing against Khorne was really scary. I think I'd be quite scared of Necro because of the werewolves. I think werewolves are just pure anti-gutter.
Yeah, they are. They are. It's just 4 dice coming at your best player. Dwarves, we can win. playing against a dwarf team, it's never a case of I don't think I can win this. It's I don't think I can win the game after this.
Right.
And so you play against a dwarf team, you're like, I'm gonna pay for this win. Like normally, you come out of a game and you're a gutter runner down or a lineman down, maybe both, right? That's kind of Skaven life. But going up against dwarves, you're going into that next game with 3 or 4 miss next games, just because the dice just balance out.
Is it a Pyrrhic victory?
Kind of. It's like, well, this one's going to cost me my arm, but it's worth it. I've always lizards, I think, are a really good match. They are my bane, actually, when it comes to Skaven. Specifically, Lewis beating me in the...
Oh, that was in the final.
Yeah, I think it was the final. Yeah, it was the final. There was only a close one. I think it was 2-1 or something. But lizards, when they're skilled up, have the ability to destroy repeatedly the players that go on the front line, and they've got enough speed to keep up with you when it comes to touchdowns. So I find that actually lizards can be a real challenge as well.
My last game was against lizards, and I didn't come out of it lightly. So and the dice were very much in my favor. I think if it had been more balanced, it would have been probably a lizard win.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love Skaven. Right, I think we'll wrap up for there. Hopefully that's been useful, but quite frankly, I don't care. I got to talk about Skaven for an hour and a half, so I'm well happy.
Yeah.
Right, Ben, thank you very much, man. It's always fun to hang out and talk Blood Bowl.
Always see you on episode 100.
Oh, yeah, episode 100. We better put something out on social media and figure out what we're going to do. Anyway, but now, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.